Alrighty, so we get started. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the first of 2022 for our MPI monthly chapter event. It's great to see you guys all, and we're looking forward to spending the next hour with you all. Just in case you don't know me, my name is Amanda Dreger. I'm the Senior Operations Manager at Pacific Destinations. I have been in the DMC industry for 22 years, and 20 of those I've had my CMP accreditation. To this day, I'm still super proud that I have CMP after my name. I feel that it really shows my dedication, education, and my passion for the industry to the clients, to our colleagues, and all our industry partners as well. Annabel Aspler was going to be joining me in co-hosting, but she luckily got a virtual event last minute, so she is working. She has pre-recorded her section today to talk about digital event strategy. So, and then she'll hopefully be able to join us towards the end of the event today. So I'm very happy to be hosting the educational seminar. It's navigating accreditations within the meeting and event industry. We're so fortunate to have a great list of people to speak about their accreditation and designation. And we have highlighted 6 of them that we think are the main ones in our industry. So I'll just quickly go through that so that you know who is going to be speaking and what topic and accreditation they'll be speaking about. We'll start with the digital event strategist that Annabel Aspler, who is an independent meeting and event professional, will talk about, followed by CVP, which is the certified venue professional, and Aliki Knight, who is the Director of Venue Operations at Vancouver Convention Center. She'll speak about that, followed by the DMCP, which is the Destination Management Certified Professional. Jennifer Burton, who is the president at Pacific Destinations, will talk about that. I will talk about the CMP, Certified Meeting Professional, followed by CITP, which is the Certified Incentive Travel Professional, and Larissa Haltigen. She's the National Sales Manager at Vail Resorts. We'll speak about that. CSEP will follow with Elizabeth Nutting, the VP of Brand Strategy at Production Canada. And we'll end with the Certified Meeting Manager. I will touch on that. I do not have the accreditation, but I would like to make sure that we include that one as well. The format for today is that each speaker is going to touch on the who, what, where, why, and how of their designation. So who is the designation ideally suited for? What is the designation stand for? Where do you obtain this designation? Which organization does it fall under? Why would you want this designation? What are the benefits of it? And how do you obtain it? We will then follow with a question and answer period at the end of the presentations. If you have a question for one of the speakers, I'd suggest and would like you to use the raised hand emoji that's in the Zoom app, and then we will invite you to ask your question, and just remember to unmute yourself. Before we get started with the speakers, I just wanted to make sure that I give a huge shout out to Charles Liu. He helped us put this PowerPoint presentation together, and it's amazing and great, and we will be sure to share that with everybody after the presentation as well. So thank you so much, Charles, for your hard work putting that together. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Annabel Aspler, who's going to talk about the Digital Event Strategist Accreditation. And this will be done virtual. So Darren, if you could please roll for video.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Annabel Aspler, and I am lucky enough to come to you today pre-recorded to talk to you a little bit about the Digital Event Strategist designation. Now, the reason I'm pre-recording today is because I happen to be lucky enough to have been hired to produce a digital event, which is going to be coming live or broadcasted February 3rd and 4th. And I'm working very hard on getting all the pre-records done and stringing the event together. So I wasn't able to attend the presentation live, so I'm pre-recording it for you. And I'm really lucky to be able to speak with you today. I just wanted to share a little bit about my experience taking the Digital Event Strategist course, that's offered by PCMA. As you can see on the slides, you can learn a little bit more about, how much it costs, where do you go to register, what it'll take, what it'll give you, but really wanted to share more of a personal experience with you in terms of how it helped me and some of the things that I got out of it. So I mentioned that I am working on a digital event right now. And, having the theory behind me that the DES offers was really, really useful to provide a really strong platform for me to get to know, some of the basics of different app offerings and different production schemes and engagement tools and things like that. But then, actually doing an event on a virtual level as opposed to doing it live, it's amazing the differences. The one difference that I found most specifically was the engagement piece. You know what it's like, you're sitting in front of the screen, it's two-dimensional, and you're seeing someone be pretty static. You want to make sure that you can somehow create enough engagement with the audience that they'll stay on and listen for as long as you're speaking. So one of the things that I learned is how compelling eye contact with the camera is. You can see that at the moment I'm looking directly into the camera, so I'm looking at you in your eyes, as opposed to looking down here where I'm looking at myself or at any of the other visuals that there might be on the screen. So it's so much more compelling in terms of engagement. So you really want to try to make sure that you're maximizing that, not only with yourself as a speaker or your own speakers, but also with the content that you're using in your event. One of the neat things that I learned is, the different types of platforms that exist out there. And that's one of the things you will learn in your DES designation, is that, there are so many different ways to put on virtual events. I had the pleasure of creating our own platform where we did pre-records actually being done by a production company, and then we set them on a broadcast basis on our own website. So there's so many different ways that you can create a virtual event, but getting some really solid partners that know what they're doing, that's really key. And finally, keeping engaged. I was mentioning the engagement piece. People have the opportunity to get up and go to the washroom or get another cup of coffee, or maybe even check an email or something. And it's really important to be able to capture the attention of these attendees so that they walk away thinking that your event was absolutely spectacular and they would definitely come back. And then of course that presents higher return on investment for you on repeat events. So in my experience with getting my DES accreditation is just more keeping myself sort of in competition, if you will, with my colleagues. I had a number of colleagues that I noticed who had gotten their designations or their certificates in digital events, and I sort of realized that I wanted to make sure I remained competitive and that my own knowledge base was up there, and I had the confidence to go out and look for clients and say, hey, I know what I'm doing. I've done this before and I've taken my courses, and I'd be a good asset to your team. That was really important to me, that I keep current, especially during all of these uncertain times, and things are evolving so very quickly. And just to touch really briefly on my experience with actually taking the designation, it came out in 6 modules that you could do either self-paced or 1 per week. And I basically took about, I would say, 6 hours in total, 1 hour per module. And after each module, they offer you a quiz that you can take to gauge your knowledge, and you need to pass the quiz before you can move on to the next module. Then at the final exam, they give you an opportunity to take it again if you need to, which was really comforting for me, although I didn't need to. You do have the opportunity to take it again if something goes a little sideways for you. I appreciated the fact that there was some self-paced learning in there because I was fortunate enough to continue working, and I could intersperse this in between. But I think it's really important that during these slow times that we keep up on our education. The DES also offers those who are going for their CMP designation of 14.5 hours towards your CMP. So that's a really nice double dip there. Anyway, I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to stay to be on with you guys live after all the presentations go through and be available for question and answer. But at any rate, thank you for listening. All the best to you in your continuing education. And now I get the honor to pass this over to Haltigen, our Director of Venue Operations at the Vancouver Convention Center. She's a certified venue professional, and she'll be chatting with you about that. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Just wait for the presentation to pop up. There, perfect. Can everyone hear me? I'm good? Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Haltigen. I'm the Director of Venue Operations at the Vancouver Convention Center, and I'm here to talk to you today about the CVP, for which I became certified in 2019. So CVP, of course, stands for Certified Venue Professional. This designation was launched by IAVM, the International Association of Venue Managers, in 2015. 3 years previous to that, in 2012, I was actually fortunate enough to sit on the focus group that helped lay the foundation and groundwork for this program. So it was a real full circle moment for me to be able to apply for the certification in 2019. I've been involved in IAVM since 2008. I've made some incredible connections through that time, all over North America and as far away as Australia. And I can't say enough about the organization and what it's done for me as well, professionally. So this designation specifically was designed to recognize the competence of mid to senior level managers in public assembly venues, as well as to assist in the creation of a professional development roadmap. Receiving this designation really says three important things about an individual in the venue management industry. And that's number one, that they are a capable professional. Number two, that they're committed to this industry. And number three, that they are committed to professional growth and development. So for this specific designation, there are two steps to certification. The first is the application process. So to apply at all, an applicant must have 3 years of experience in mid to senior level management at a public assembly venue or in an industry related supplier of products or services. Once those 3 years of experience are attained, then the application process can really begin. There's a point system that's required. So there's a minimum number of points that have to be achieved in various areas, and that includes higher education, management and industry experience, professional related certifications, and teaching and volunteering, and as well as really participating in IAVM conferences and different trainings that they offer. Gets you quite a few points towards that. Once that you've achieved that minimum and you're ready to apply, the submitted application goes to IAVM with their application fees, and then you must also sign their code of ethics and provide 3 fairly lengthy and detailed professional references. And then the board will review that application. So that's step one. And then once the board has approved the application, then you move on to step 2, which is preparing for and writing the written exam. So once that's approved, you have 2 years to sit the exam. I wrote mine within 2 months of approval, and probably a little bit rushed, but I guess it was just a bit of a throwback to university days and cramming for exams. So I managed to fit that into a short time period because I wanted to make the conference where I was writing the exam a couple of months later. So you pay your examination fee to write the exam, and then sign up to write the actual test, which is administered. It was for myself in person during IAVM conferences and meetings. So I wrote mine in 2019 at the last in-person IAVM conference I was able to attend, which was in Venue Connect in Chicago. So many fond memories of that trip. The exam was 150 multiple choice questions. You have maximum of 3 hours to complete, and you must get 70% to pass the exam. I will note that there is a note on their website that under special circumstances, which likely we are, of course, are in now, candidates may request to write at a qualified testing center, but the extra cost would be at the cost of the candidate. So this exam, 150 questions sounds fairly quick, but it covers some real broad knowledge around managing public assembly venues. So that's arenas, stadiums, convention centers, and performing arts venues. And for someone like me whose main experience is in convention centers, some of it is a bit of a reach. So, you're looking at topics around event and guest experience, finance, HR, marketing, production, stage management, box office ticketing, like it just goes on and on and on. So, what I really highly recommend is if you're considering it is to also purchase the study exam guide from IAVM, which was fairly nominal at $50. And there's also a public assembly management book that IAVM produces for under $100 that also can help with that. So the CVP designation is sort of a stepping stone in IAVM. There's a secondary certification called the Certified Venue Executive, which would be that next step. You do need additional years of leadership experience to attain that. And as well, it's a little bit more extensive. There's an essay and an interview and a very lengthy, I think almost 300 question exam to do with that one. So, I'm coming up on, almost 3 years of being designated with my CVP, which means it's time for me to renew. So I was looking up that process the other day, and I need to submit some of my continuing education pieces and continued professional development, and I'll be working to renew that by the end of 2022. But it's been a great experience. I was able to connect with a few people who were kind of in my cohort, and we've stayed connected even through the last couple of years. And yeah, I can't say enough about the organization and the designation. So that will wrap up my comments on the CVP, and I will now introduce Jennifer Burton, President of Pacific Destination Services, to talk to you about the DMCP. Lots of acronyms today. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Leaky, for that. And just wanted to say thank you very much to MPI for putting the session together. I'm thrilled to be here and actually very excited to talk about this amongst this really great panel with representing all these different designations. So I am here to talk about the Destination Management Certified Professional Accreditation, DMCP. That's actually offered through ADME, which is the Association of Destination Management Executives International. And I think this designation is ideally suited for anyone that has been in the destination management profession for 3 or more years and who wants to advance this particular area through gaining knowledge and credibility. I've had my DMCP for 4 years, and I really have come to appreciate and respect the community that it's allowed me to access through the network. The certification demonstrates a commitment to core competency and knowledge in a variety of areas, from transportation to meeting setups to emergency management to food and beverage. It's vast, and as I said, it provides access to a great network of like-minded professionals who are all serious about setting and working within high standards for the industry. So ADME is a membership association for DMCs. It's global, and it's a premier resource. Excuse me. Sorry about that. It's a premier resource for education standards and best practices within the destination management industry. ADME's dedicated to sharing the value of what a qualified DMC can do for project stakeholders. And it holds DMCs to a certain standard and encourages both companies and their employees to achieve certain credentials to help strengthen the knowledge base and the level of the membership group. ADME offers the DMCP certification, and applicants receive study materials either online or in hard copy. The exam can be written in person at the annual ADME conference or 4 times a year at any certified exam agency. There are member and non-member rates, so you don't have to, your organization or you personally don't have to be a member to pursue this particular designation. Why would you want it? There are benefits, definitely, and I think that people who look to gain this designation really want to help establish value for their profession as this certification specifically demonstrates the highest knowledge of DMC best practices. It not only helps you stand up with clients, but it helps invest back into the global community of DMCs who are committed to excellence. It unlocks a wide network of companies and people to share knowledge with and ask for advice. ADME members are supportive and open, and in my experience, really want to help each other out. It's a very specific kind of niche little industry. We generally all face the same challenges, and the membership base is an excellent resource to turn to for advice and recommendations and to share learnings with. And in the context of the pandemic and what we've all learned over the past 2 years, one of the things that really stands out for me is the value of sharing learnings and being connected and supporting each other. And this network of people across the globe has really helped with that. As I said, you do study from material that ADME specifically publishes and updates annually. So the exam always tests current best practices in destination management. And the publication that you study from is called Best Practices in Destination Management. And as I said before, also covers a wide variety of topics in this particular area. On average, studying will take up to, I'd say, about 30 hours, depending on your level of experience prior to writing the test. The exam itself is a maximum of 3 hours long and is made up of 150 multiple choice questions, where the best answer is correct. The certification is valid for 5 years, and you can recertify through a combination of volunteer and professional development experience and such. I look forward to answering any questions that you might have about this, and I will now turn the presentation over to my colleague Amanda Dreger, Senior Operations Manager at PDS. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. So yes, I'm here to talk about the CMP accreditation, which is the Certified Meeting Professional. I have had it for 20 years, so I know that things probably have changed on how you can obtain it, but I have done some research and hopefully I can get that information to you today. So starting with who should consider the CMP certification, it's designed for the meeting and events industry and professionals, those who are passionate in the industry and you want to make an impact and also further your career. For me, as I said, I obtained it 20 years ago. After being in the industry for 2 years, I decided that I wanted to apply mainly because I was younger and I wanted to prove to the clients that I was educated, that I was committed and knowledgeable, so that they would trust me to operate their programs for them. I was able to apply after 2 years because I was able to couple that with my Bachelor of Commerce degree, which I majored in hotel and food administration at the University of Guelph. So that combo allowed me to apply. And I'll further explain that in a couple of moments. And so just heading to what is the CMP? Well, the Certified Meeting Professional, it's internationally recognized certification program for event planners, and it's governed through the Events Industry Council. The training process is done through MPI, which is great. So there's lots of resources to help you get ready for it through MPI. The CMP accreditation is recognized globally, and it's considered your badge of excellence in the events industry. And in order to qualify, they base it on professional experience, education, and then a pretty strenuous and challenging exam. The CMP program is aimed to increase your professionalism of meeting management professionals in all sectors of our industry. So where do you obtain this certification? Now it is done online. They do it 4 times a year, January, May, August, and November. And it takes between 2.5 to 3.5 hours to complete. Again, it is also a multitude of multiple choice questions with the best answer. It's challenging. I could definitely, from what I recall and from what I hear from people that are still getting it, it is, you do need to definitely study for that. I'll just quickly talk about why you should become a CMP. well, I became it because I wanted to increase my professionalism in our industry. Having this designation, it just proves that you're a certified event planner. You've completed a set number of requirements to get this certification. And those that also in the industry have a CMP, they know that you studied hard to get that exam and to get that to pass and get the accreditation. It helps and shows that you understand logistics. So I would say CMP really is focused on the logistics and the audio visual and those different concepts, but you're getting right down into the nitty gritty of running an event or a meeting. The other great thing is that you do need to renew it every 5 years. So with that, you stay in touch and in tune with industry trends and continuing your education. So it is good that every 5 years you do have to reapply and show that you're still in the industry as well. I think that as our industry's grown in the past decade or so, the CMP certification, it's a critical mark of professionalism and experience. So I feel that it's a great way to communicate to clients that you have earned the title and that they can trust that you know what you're doing. Financially, they do say that those who have a CMP will earn up to $10,000 more than a non-certified counterpart. So that's another bonus as well. And then I'll just talk about how you obtain your CMP. It is a two-part process. It starts with experience and with education. So with the experience, you have three options. One of them being it's 36 months of experience, must be a full-time worker in the industry, and this will be within the last 5 years. Option 2, which is what I used when I got mine, is 24 months of experience in the industry, and you have obtained an associate's degree or higher in hospitality, tourism, and event management within the last 5 years. And then the third one is if you are an educational instructor, if you've got 36 months of experience as an instructor in the meeting, event, exhibition, tourism management sectors at an educational institution or university, then you can also apply. When it comes down to education, again, we're all talking about the clock hours. Those credits you get when you attend seminars or meetings, if you're reading articles and answering questions, face-to-face conferences and webinars, individual sessions. So in order to get your CMP, you need to have 25 of those educational credits. And then the other option is internship. So that's usually for people that are newer to the industry, maybe only have 2 years experience, then they could go into an internship program within a business within the industry for the past 5 years and have a minimum of 200 hours of work experience. And then I just would love to talk about the studying. It is extremely important. You do have the study guides, handbooks that come out through MPI and the Events Industry Council. Those are your key to learning everything you need to know. But the main thing that I think that got me through was the study groups. Now, I'm talking 20 years ago. We did it in Vancouver. We met every week and each person took a topic and you shared it with your study group. The same applies now, they're just doing it online. So if anybody's interested, I would say that that's probably the key thing to help you get through. I would give yourself about 6 months to study. I mean, that's long, but I think I studied for 6 solid months, including the study group. And then, of course, you need to successfully pass the exam. With regards to the costs, it costs $250 US dollars to submit your application. And if that is approved, then you have to pay $475 US dollars to write the exam. And then every 5 years, you need to renew at a cost of $250 US. So that's pretty much sums it up for the CMP. And again, if there's any questions at the end, I'd be happy to answer. But for now, I'd like to introduce Larissa Haltigen. She's the National Sales Manager at Vail Resorts, and she has the CITP certification. So over to you, Larissa.
And hi everyone, I'm Larissa Haltigen. I'm, as Amanda said, a National Sales Manager with Vail Resorts. And I'm here to share a little bit about the CITP designation. So the CITP designation is with the CITE organization, which is the Society for Incentive Travel Excellence. I've been involved in CITE for about 3 years now, and recently achieved my CITP back in October, so it's still very new for me. It was definitely a challenging but rewarding exam, and I'm thrilled to have achieved this designation. So for those of you who aren't familiar with CITE, CITE is dedicated towards the incentive side of the industry, and CITP is the mid-level qualification for the incentive travel professional. So they have a suite of certifications you can take, starting with the CIS, which is entry level, then moving to the CITP, which is mid-level, and then they also have the CITE designation, which is director level, which is currently being redeveloped. You don't have to have taken your CIS to achieve your CITP, but many people in the industry do have both. So in order to qualify for the exam, you have to have been in industry or employed in the industry for the past 12 months, and either have 5 years experience in incentive travel industry or 3 years as a CIS. You also have to have completed 40 hours of professional development activities in the past 5 years, 10 of which must have been with CITE content. So attending their global conference or some of their education seminars, or whether you're involved in a chapter. Definitely lots of opportunities to be involved in CITE and obtain those hours. So the test itself, as I mentioned, is a challenging exam. It's not a test based off of memorization of the different topics and items that you're studying, but it's more rather the comprehension and the ability to actually understand and apply the knowledge in the real world. It is an in-person 100-question multiple choice exam, and you have about 2.5 hours to complete it. And you definitely take the full time. The questions are very situation specific, and many of them will ask you to find the right, like the best answer. So it takes a lot of understanding of the concept to really find that right answer. The questions are built with a perspective of a North American outbound travel buyer. So for someone like myself who's a supplier, you really want to make sure you have an understanding of that buyer viewpoint when you're answering the questions, which definitely coming from the supplier side, sometimes you have different perspectives. So that was a really helpful piece in preparing for the exam. The other helpful tools you have to prepare for the exam are the prep course that CITE offers through their Knowledge Center online. It is a series of 9 modules following different topics. So everything from strategic planning to program design, project management, technology, CSR and sustainability, risk and crisis management. There's a whole bunch of them. And they give you the basics and the foundation of the various topics that the questions are kind of framed around. But it's not like you can just go over the modules and look at some sample questions and know that you'll be able to pass the question or pass the exam, because the questions will be similar to that. It's applying those concepts to the question that's being asked and what the right answer is. And the most helpful thing in preparation to take the exam was attending the study groups. And I found that incredibly beneficial, because you are connected with industry colleagues, many of which who are on the buyer side, who give you tons of great information and lots of information sharing about the different perspectives and topics, and to really ensure that you understand the material. So the cost of this exam is normally $675 USD, or if you're a site member, or $895 if you're a non-site member. They also do different times of the year where the test is discounted. I believe it's discounted right now for upcoming testing, but then they do a CITP week in the fall every year. So I took mine in October during CITP week, and members from around the world are also taking the exam in that week. And so if you are interested in taking it, definitely watch out for those discounted opportunities. And you do have to, like I mentioned, take it in person. So it does have to align with when they have it scheduled. And just to touch on the benefits, other than having the nice letters CITP next to your name, definitely just increases your understanding of the client's needs and builds trust, especially coming from the supplier side. It shows to your clients that you understand their point of view, and just allows for you to better interact with them and work together. And then just from a career development standpoint, it is an accredited certification, which definitely gives you some more credibility, and just allows you to stand out in the industry, and your dedication to the industry and yourself for your career. So if you want to learn more about the CITP exam, there is some really great information on the Site Global website. They have a whole page dedicated to CITP and the other designations. And don't hesitate to reach out to me if I can answer any questions. That is CITP. And then next up, I would like to introduce Elizabeth Nutting, the VP of Brand Strategy with Production Canada. So over to you, Elizabeth.
Thanks, Larissa. Thank you all for attending today. I appreciate sharing knowledge and sharing information. And as you can see, all of us are pretty excited about our various designations. So we're thrilled to share this information with you. The Certified Special Event Professional designation is accredited through ILEA, the International Live Events Association. It is experience-based, so you, as well as many of the other different accreditations, you do need a minimum of 3 years in the industry. There are 3 different pathways, which are explained on the slide there. If you have any questions or any confusion about that, feel free to reach out. The easiest way to get in is have 5 years of experience, and then you apply and you're accepted for it right away. If you've got 3 years, you either need to have gone to a hospitality program, or you need a letter from a certified special event professional who recommends you. So the exam, you don't need to be a subject matter in all areas of events, but you do need to understand the process well enough that if needed, you could assemble a team, articulate a vision, and execute an event. We've got people all over the world who have this designation, and they have a number of different job titles: event producers, event managers, wedding planners, event designers. We've even got DJs who have this accreditation. So if you're in the room often enough and you're seeing all the pieces of the puzzle, then you could certainly take this exam. The exam itself was redesigned. So if you have any historical knowledge about the CSEP, please kind of throw it out the door. We just redesigned it in 2020. It is a maximum of 111 questions for 90 minutes. You will know almost immediately after you take the exam whether you've passed or failed. In the past, there was a written element, so you can ignore that entirely. Additionally, the exam is offered 100% virtually, 365 days of the year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You do need to do it from home, and you will need an internet access, but you can take it anytime that you choose. The new exam has a different blueprint that's worth researching and studying. You can get it at ileahub.com, which is our website. The blueprint has 6 different key topics that the exam might be about. The first one and second one are pretty obvious. So the first one is 33% of the exam covers project management. 30% of the exam covers event management. Then you've got 17% of the exam covered under strategic outlook and alignment. You've got 10% covering risk management, 6% covering external communication, because that's critical in our roles. And finally, you've got 4% covering professional conduct. It is important to us that not only are you a practicing event professional, but that you're continuing to build and grow your career as you carry on. So as you attend different sessions and volunteer for sessions such as this, you can gain some points for your recertification. But it is very important to us that you continue to be a part of the industry. In the past, because this was experience-based, we didn't have any prep. When I took the exam in 2017, I studied the content, the course outline, and I memorized it because I'm a geek like that. And then I reached out to a whole bunch of current CSEPs and asked who were experts in pieces to that blueprint that I didn't know and didn't understand. So if I didn't understand tenting, I would reach out to a tent professional who was also designated, or the DJ, for example, who was also certified. You should still, I think, highly recommend doing that. I think memorizing the content is valuable just because you have certain terms in your head that can really help you answer questions in a speedy manner. But now we have a prep course, brand new. First day is tomorrow for our boot camp in January. It will be led by a woman named Jody Paulson, CSEP. She's an Edmonton ILEA member. She was chair of the CSEP committee for many years and is now leading the prep course. It starts, it's January 21st to 22nd and 28th for that boot camp. So hours vary because it is considered a boot camp. And if you prefer, there is a 4-week program on Tuesdays and March in the evenings. That particular prep course, as I said, is brand new. They will limit it to 20 people per course, and there are still positions available for the January course. It is $349 US to take. So there is more information on that website that you can check out. For me, getting my CSEP was really important to me. My background, I studied drama, and I'm a stage manager and a set designer at heart. And so I spent 10, 15 years struggling in the arts and decided that events were really my true jam. And I needed something like a designation to validate me and validate my background knowledge, because I didn't have the traditional schooling. I didn't know all of the terminology. And I found that taking and getting my CSEP gave me that recognition that I felt that I wanted and needed to be an events professional and no longer a theater geek. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Feel free to reach out during the Q&A. At this point in time, I'm going to hand it back to Amanda to talk about the CMM.
Alrighty, so I do not have my CMM, but I feel like it's extremely important that we touch on this certification as well, especially since it is run through MPI, which is great. So what the CMM is, it stands for Certificate in Meeting Management, and it's an executive level of accreditation. It's for leadership, for business and meetings. It represents the premier designation for distinguished meeting professionals and has the business standard of excellence. So the CMM really focuses on business management, leadership, and meeting management. And it's designed for those in the industry that are looking to basically take a front seat in a leading and growing an organization within the meetings and events industry. So I just put in here, like, where do you get it? It's an intense 15-week program that's offered online by the Kelly School of Business. So it is a 15-week scheduled with courses and teachers and instructors. from what I read up on it, you do group work as well as individual work, different assignments. And then if you get through to the 15th week and have passed everything successfully, then you will obtain your certificate in certified meeting management. Why would you want to take it? They consider the CEM to be the MBA of the meetings industry. So it's about the highest degree that you can achieve in our industry. Graduate school professors teach a business school curriculum, and it's tailored to the hospitality, travel, and meetings industry. It's designed for those who are interested in leading a meetings department or achieving the chief level within an organization. So chief of, chief of events or chief of staff or the high level. The average salary, they say, of a meeting professional with a CMM is roughly $20,000 more. And if you pair that with a CMP, it goes up another $10,000 to $30,000 more compared to those without those credentials. And then how to obtain it, you need to submit a resume to show your related experience, a personal statement, and a letter of recommendation from a professional colleague or your supervisor. You have 7 years of professional experience in the meeting and events industry. 3 of those are management experience, and 2 of those are profit and loss experience. And then once the application is approved, then you can go forward with the 15-week registration for the 15-week program. This one doesn't come inexpensively. The cost to partake in the 15-week program is $4,400 US dollars, and you do receive a 12-month membership to MPI. The one bonus for the CMM is that it doesn't expire, so you do not have to recertify after you've achieved it. So that is the quick and easy of the CMM. It also concludes our speaker series session today. Now what we'll do is follow up with some question and answer. So if you do have questions, I would really like if you guys could use the hand emoji on the Zoom app, and then we'll invite you to speak accordingly. And just remember to unmute yourself when we say your name. And if the question is geared to a specific speaker, maybe just address them as well. So Darren, if we can get started with the question and answer for everybody. Anyone?
Any questions? Come on, don't be shy.
Now's your opportunity to talk to 6 of us, or should we say, yes, 6 of us that are on. And Annabel has joined us, so she was able to hop on.
I see Adam Razuminski has a question. Adam, can you unmute yourself, please?
Yeah, really quick one for Amanda here. For the 25 clock hours for CMP, what's the expiry time before application? Is that like within 1 year or 2 years of applying, or is that something you don't have offhand?
That I don't have offhand, unfortunately. I know like mine is coming up. I think it's within, to be honest, I do think it's within a year, because when I had to do it when I had to reapply, I think I did it 2 or 3 years ago. I remember that I had a year to apply for my renewal, and that's when I had to get all the clock hours. For anybody that is looking at how to obtain clock hours, there are different avenues that you can take. I was able to find online articles that I needed to read and then answer questions to, or there's webinars that you can watch that you'll gain the credits to as well. So it's not always having to attend a meeting or that type of thing. So there are different ways that you can get those hours.
I see another question in the queue. I have too many windows open. Another question?
Oh, here, Terry.
I put it in the queue for you, Darren, but just wanted to find out if your designation expires, what is the process of renewing? Do you have to go back to the start for all of the designations? Or is there a different process if you by accident let it elapse?
I have an answer for CSEP if you want me to dive in.
Sure.
So for CSEP, they do a really good job of trying to reach out. They've got a committee of 6 people who are reaching out if it's the year that you're about to expire. So they do their best to find you. It's part of why we've reduced the recertification from 5 years to 3, because we want to be in touch with people and have connections with people. If it lapses, there's a couple of options. There's a reinstatement option. So it is available to anyone who lapsed within the past year. At CSEP, you will be getting an email, and the only difference is you need a couple more points for sustainability. And if it's more than a year, you likely have to take the exam again.
Thanks.
And thank you very much for those questions, Adam and Terry. And I do see the next question we have is from Nazmi Kamal. Nazmi, if you can unmute yourself, please, you have the floor.
Hi, thank you. Let me lower my hand first. I want to thank everyone for these introductions. I might pursue something soon myself, but I'm here from Capilano University and I represent, as far as I could count, around 15 students in attendance today. And I think maybe one thing that might be going through their heads is, well, this seems to be a bit overwhelming. Where can I start? What's the right certification for me at a level where I'm probably not very experienced or thinking of, or you know how it is. So I don't know, what would you suggest? This is for everybody here. What road should they go down to?
I'll jump in there just as a thought. I think that financial considerations are a big thing, especially with students. And as you can see that these are, fairly big ticket items. I mean, I remember, with my DES, I had, it was right in the middle of the pandemic. I mean, very few things were happening and we didn't have a lot of income and that sort of thing. So, $1,000, because it's American dollars, right? $1,000 is a big ticket. But I will say that with the DES, it might be a really good place to start, considering that it's a very low time commitment overall, and financially it's less expensive than some, but it also offers you those CE credits for, or rather those credits towards your CMP. So it's a really good stepping stone to find out whether or not you want to actually continue in the events world at all. That would be my opinion.
I might just add, sorry, Larissa, go ahead.
Okay. I also came up in a hospitality degree program and had an idea of where I wanted to go in the industry, but wasn't 100% sure. I started off in conference services and then found my way in sales, specifically focusing on incentive. So my recommendation would be, if you're not sure, maybe after graduating and landing a job in the industry, get a feel for the field and area of the industry that you're really interested in, whether it's a DMC or you're more on the digital event production, or whether you're more incentive based, and then that will kind of naturally guide you to a relevant certification, because they definitely aren't cheap. So you want to be aware of that and make sure that what you're achieving will definitely serve you in the industry, but any one of them will absolutely help shoot you to where you want to go.
And I think part of how you can do that is to start by picking your association. I mean, you're all here, you're at MPI, many of you are members already, but there are number of associations that were referenced today. So once you really understand your association, that might lead you towards a designation.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for your question, Nazmi, and thank you to our speakers for those great replies. Our next question is from Sandra Eagle, and Sandra asks, how often are the courses updated?
And who would like to take that question?
I'll go. Specifically for the DMC program and certification, the course material is constantly being evaluated, and the handbook and the exam are updated annually. So it's always based on the latest and greatest information and best practices.
Thank you, Jennifer. And Sandra, if there was a specific course that you were referring to, perhaps if you could pop that in the chat for us, please, or just raise your hand and we can ask you to unmute. And I'm not seeing any other hands raised at this time. So if you do have a question, please pop it in the chat for us and or raise your hand, your virtual hand there. And Sandra, just as a follow-up, said in general, how often are the courses updated? Thank you, Sandra. And Darren has a hand raised, so go ahead, Darren.
I just wanted to say that, you know, one important factor, I have 3 accreditations, and in the last 5 years, I've seen a lot of RFPs, especially from government, mandate the event company needs to have a certified person with an accreditation. So cha-ching, good for making money. And then Amanda was asking me about one of the accreditations. Go2 has some accreditations, and I have one of them, and it's a local organization. And Lynn will be sending out the PowerPoint, right, Lynn? And we'll include all that information to all the attendees. So
yeah, that's correct.
Thank you.
The one thing I'd like to just add to the discussion, especially when I feel like for the students, this is really great for them to just sort of see where their future can go. So, you know, if you are looking at a designation, you will see that a lot of them do require you to have a couple years experience before you can apply. But I think the great thing is, and it was talked about, really start thinking about the organizations that we have available to us in BC, MPI, of course, being the forefront and our reason we're here today, but for students to get involved in those organizations early on in the game when their admission, like we pay our annual fee, is not as expensive for a student. And that's where you get to meet so many people in the industry, and it starts to help you navigate, as we talked about, like, are you into a DMC? Are you into the incentive industry? Is it maybe conference services or convention services or events that you are you know, starting to lean towards? And I feel that you learn that by going to these MPI meetings or different the different organizations that are around, because that's sort of what helps you figure out where your future is going to go.
Great, thank you, Amanda. At this point, does anyone have any other questions? I do see Carly has a hand up. Carly, go ahead.
Hi, thank you for having me. This is so great. So my question is kind of for Amanda and Elizabeth, I guess. I'm just wondering if you both would be able to just maybe clarify or give a little more insight of really what the 2 differences are between the CMP and with the CSEP. I understand it's special event professionals and then CMP, of course, but if you were trying to decide between the 2 of them, what would be the benefits of, trying to decide between that? I don't know if that's a straightforward question or not, but yeah.
Amanda, do you want to take it or do you want me to dive in?
Sure, you could dive in, and if I have anything to add, I'll add.
I think that's why I tried to get the note in there about the association. For a long time, CSEP was the major differentiating factor was the studying. We weren't built, we weren't designed for a prep course, for a study guide, for study groups. None of that was part of the process. It was very much experience-based. And now that we have a prep course, I think you can decide if you feel like if you identify as a meeting planner or if you identify as a special event professional. There is a difference, it's subtle. I think for me, the only way I saw it was attending the 2 different industry association events. And I don't know if I could really identify it very specifically. But for me, I was certainly, I started in Toronto when I joined the industry, and I found the ILEA group was this really great, creative, welcoming group, and MPI for me was huge and overwhelming and terrifying. So I dove right into ILEA, and there was no choice, no questions asked whatsoever for me about which designation I would take.
I think that I would agree 100% with what Elizabeth is saying, and it really does. You do kind of lend yourself towards events and meetings, and yes, they collide. They're together, but the people that have a CSEP that I know about are definitely focused more on the event side, and CMP are a lot of meeting planners. Our clients that are the meeting planners have CMP. A lot of hotel people, sales managers, conference services managers have the CMP as well. So yeah, just to reiterate that it does, and as you visit these different organizations that are out there, you do start finding which little path you are more taken to over, and some of them are together. Some people do meetings and events. Like it is like they definitely do collide. But like for our industry, in the DMC industry, we have a operations department and we have an events department. So if you were in operations, you probably would lean towards CMP, which really focuses on logistics of running a meeting. And if you're doing the event production, then CSEP. And then you end up with your like-minded little group of people that you can rely on that have very similar interests in what you are passionate about as well, which I find that organization and that collective, with other people is great too.
Awesome. Thank you both. Thank you.
And I think we are just nearing the end of our time. And before we say goodbye to everybody, do know that if you have any other questions, you are more than welcome to reach out to any of the speakers today or any other MPI members that also have designations, because we're happy here. And that's what this industry is all about, is to be ambassadors to people that are interested in learning more about the events and meeting industry. Before we head out, I would like to ask Adam Radzminski to close out today's meeting and just to touch upon the upcoming meetings that we have with MPI. So over to you, Adam, and thanks everybody for coming on board today.
Thank you very much, Amanda, and thank you to all of our speakers today. Really appreciate learning more about the journeys that you took to get the letters after your name, or multiple sets of letters in Darren's case there. And really just a congratulations to all of those who have designations. It's a lot of work, and today really gained an appreciation for all of the work that goes into that, and it's so important for growing the professionalism of our industry here. So congratulations and thank you. And just to touch on, our next event is in person. I'm sure in the news you've been reading about flight cancellations, but we still will be flying. We will be flying over Iceland at Flyover Canada. So Blair and the team will have us there for the AGM. It's a small audience, but it's in person, mostly social and enjoying the show. A little bit of business with our annual general meeting. So very short business, I should say. The last time we had our MPI AGM in person, I looked at the minutes and it was 6 minutes of actual business, unless there's a motion from the floor to read our entire set of bylaws in both French and English. But hopefully that motion does not come up. So hope to see many of you in person on Thursday, February 17th at 4:30 at Flyover Canada, and Darren and the team, and the events and education team has a full slate of events over the next few months here, including many in person and virtual and hybrid opportunities here. So really excited So keep your eyes open and please do reach out with any other questions to us here. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
See you soon.
Great presentation.
Thank you very much for joining us, everyone, and have a lovely rest of your day.